Good evening, everyone. Today, the topic will be anti-malarial drugs. So, there will be discussing about. Before I start, I'd like to talk about few things. Definition: anti-malarial drugs are chemotherapeutic agents which are used for the treatment and prevention of malaria. So, what are the basic causative agents? They are the malaria. The causative organism responsible for malaria belong to genus Plasmodium, which is of the following class, which is a class of protozoa known as sporozoa. There are four main species that are responsible for human malaria. So there are basically four main species, that is Plasmodium malaria, Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, and Plasmodium ovale. Out of this, Plasmodium falciparum is one of the most dangerous type of Now, if you see, there are some words like quartan malaria, tertan malaria. Okay. So, what are these quartan malaria? So, what are they called? So, this quartan means the frequency after which how many days the fever reoccurs. So, if the fever reoccurs after the interval of 3 days or on the 4th day, then it is known as quartan fever. Longer than 2 days, it is known as tertan fever. And intermittent. So in this way, the malarials are classified. Malignant means it can spread, the particular this thing can spread to different. So depending upon the frequency through which your fever relapses, they are defined as quartan malaria or quartan fever or tertan fever, according to the frequency after which the fever relapses. So this is known as, this is just for basic information. I've just put that thing. So what are the different phases? So what happens? The malarial influenza. So malarial. So first is your sporocyte. They are injected by the mosquito, female Anopheles mosquito. This infect the sporocytes into the human. So then there is a second phase, that is exoerythrocytic skigoni in the liver. So this is exoerythrotic stage where it takes place in your liver. Erythrocytic stage, this happens inside your blood vessels. So in the erythrocytes, in your RBCs. So from the RBCs, they rupture, they get transformed into your gametocytes, or they further infect the other. So this gametocytes, that is asexual reproduction that takes place within the humans. Then the female Anopheles mosquito again take this particular gametocytes and they develop into your sporocytes sexually inside your mosquito. So this is your basic life cycle of your malarial merocytes. Okay, so this is what is the malarial life cycle schematically. Now let's go deep into this. So what is the life cycle of your malarial parasite? So what do you see if you see the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I've given different numbering. So what happens there in each and everything? So what is the first thing? First thing is an infected mosquito, that is female Anopheles mosquito. They inject your sporocytes, which are present in their cell. So this sporocytes, this is the first thing, how the malarial parasites enter the human body. So what happens when these merocytes enter? Then they migrate to the liver where they form your merocytes. So if you can see over here, they from the blood and lymphatic system, they enter into your livers. Okay, so in the livers, they develop into your merocytes. And later on, these merocytes are released. They rupture from the livers. They are released into the blood. So what is merocytes? Merocytes are with the merocytes which are released. They invade the RBCs. They invade the RBC, that is erythrocytes. They invade the RBCs. These merocytes which are released from the liver, they infect or invade the RBCs. So in the RBCs, what happens in the fourth step? The RBC cells, the merocytes become tropocytes. So in the RBCs, these merocytes they develop into your tropocytes or the skin, and then your RBCs rupture. Then the tropocytes in the RBCs they multiply to new merocytes, to your new merocytes. These are then released from the RBCs when they rupture, and they can infect your other RBCs. From some of these merocytes which are released from your erythrocytes, they mature into your gametocytes. That is your that is micro gametocytes and macro gametocytes. Okay, and again, what this? So this was your asexual phase. Then again, the female Anopheles mosquito, they they bite the humans and take this gametocytes from the cells, and the sexual development of the gametocyte takes place in the mosquito, which then forms the other lot of sporocytes. So this is the entire life cycle of your malarial parasite. This is the entire life cycle of malarial parasite. So there are also given the drugs where they act. So if you see the drugs which act on exoerythrocytic stage, that is your primaquine. So primaquine acts at exoerythrocytic stage. That means outside your erythrocytes. Means which is the stage? It acts on the liver. Okay. There is another drug, if you see on the top parts, which act against effective against gametocytic form. So example over here is also it's primaquine. So primaquine can act on exoerythrocyte as well as your gametocytic form. So what are the other drugs which are the drugs which act against the erythrocytic? Means when the parasites multiply in your RBCs. So the drugs which act on this stage are artemisinin, chloroquine, quinine, mefloquine, and pyrimethamine. Okay, these are the drugs which act on them. So according to that, the drugs are classified. According to that, the drugs are classified. Okay, now let's go into the life cycle. So let us understand a little bit, because this is asked in your exam. So I'd like to explain this thing. So let us understand the life cycle of your parasite, Plasmodium parasite. So life cycle of Plasmodium, a female Anopheles mosquito. It is the definitive, okay, and it transmits a motile infective form called as a sporocyte. As I explained, these sporocytes are present in the saliva of your female Anopheles mosquito. So they are called as the sporocytes. They then target the vertebrate such as human. So this is the secondary host. Primary host is a female Anopheles, from where your sporocytes are secreted, and thus acting as a transmission vector. So they act as a transmission vector where your sporocytes develop in the human. So they act as a transmission vector. The malarial parasite involves two hosts. During a blood meal, a malarial infected female animal inoculates the sporocytes into your human host. As I explained, the first step is inoculation of your sporocytes into your human host. So what happens when these sporocytes then infect the liver cells? So they enter into the liver cells and mature into your ski joints, which rupture and release your merocytes. So they develop in the liver cells. They develop into your ski joints and they rupture and release your merocytes. After the initial replication in the liver, the parasite undergoes asexual multiplication in your erythrocytes. So after your replication in the liver, which forms then your asexual multiplication of your erythrocytes, asexual multiplication of your parasite takes place in your erythrocyte, and the merocytes infect your RBCs. The merocytes infect your RBCs. So inside the RBCs, in the ring stage, okay, within the RBCs, the tropocytes again mature into your ski joints. Okay, they again mature into your ski joints, which ruptures and again releases your merocytes. Okay, so the tropocytes which are found in the RBCs, they rupture and release your merocytes. Some of the parasite differentiate into asexual erythrocytic state, that is chem. So it generates some of the merocytes which are released. They mature into gametocytes. This is the blood, and the blood stage of parasite are responsible for your clinical manifestation of the disease. So whatever multiplication occurs in the blood, they are responsible for your chill and fever. So they are the site for the action of most of the antimalarial. The gametocytes are of two forms. Male is microgametocytes and females are known as macrogametocytes, and they are injected by your Anopheles model into during their blood meal. So what happens? So again, when the female Anopheles mosquito bites, they will take away this particular gametocytes and along with the blood meal. Okay, and the parasites multiply in the mosquito is known as sporogenic cycle. It is known as sporogenic cycle or sexual. So they develop sexually inside the mosquito. While in the mosquito stomach, the merozoites penetrate into your macrogametes. Okay, the microgametes penetrate into your macrogametes, generating your zygote. So they come fuse to form a zygote, and this zygote in turns becomes motile and elongate to form an ookinetes. And which invade the mid-gut wall of your mosquito, where they develop into your oocytes. These oocytes grow and rupture and release your sporocytes, which makes their way into your salivary glands, and inoculation of sporocyte. This is followed by inoculation of sporocyte into your new human host, which completes your malarial life cycle. So this is your malarial life cycle. You have to know this because in exam it is asked. You have to write it in brief whenever the question comes. Okay. So what are the symptoms? Symptoms of malaria are usually asked in the exams. So what is the symptoms according to the different parts of the body as shown in the slides? Let us see. In the central nervous system, it causes your headache. Systemically, it causes fever. Muscular, it causes pain and fatigue. It also leads to back pain. Skin, it causes chills and sweating. As you see, that is the most frequent symptoms that is seen in malaria. Respiratory, it causes a lot of dry cough. Spleen, there is an enlargement here. When you do a sonography during malarial infection, you can see enlargement of spleen. And with stomach, it is related to nausea and vomiting. So these are the symptoms of malaria. These are the symptoms of malaria. And even this question is asked in your exam. What are the symptoms of malaria? So you should be thorough according to the parts of the body. What happens in each part of the body? Malarial symptoms. So please read this. So now let's go for the drug classification. So there are, according to the, it is a therapeutic as well as chemical. So in case of therapeutic classification, it is tissue ski joint sites. The drug eliminates the development or dormant forms in the liver. The drug that eliminates developing or dormant liver forms, that is your exoerythrostatic stage. Okay, in the exoerythrostatic stage, this drug act on the exoerythrostatic stage. Blood ski joint sites, this act on erythrocytic parasite. This act on the erythrocytic parasite. And gametocyte, those that kill the sexual stage and prevent the transmission to the mosquito. So they will prevent the formation of your microgametes, and they will destroy the microgametes and macrogametes. So this will prevent the transmission of your disease to the mosquito. So when the female Anopheles mosquito again bites, so this, there will be no source of your gametes to the mosquito. No one available agents are reliably effective a radical good, that is eliminate both hepatic and so there is no drug that can affect mostly on both the cases. Few available agents are casual prophylactic drugs that is capable of preventing the erythrocytic infection, that are capable of preventing the erythrocytic infection. However, all effective chemoprophylactic agent kill erythrocytic parasites before they grow sufficiently in number to cause clinical disease. So they inhibit in the erythrocytic stage, that will prevent their further development of the parasite in a sufficient. These are some of the example tissue agents, casual prophylaxis, example pyrimethamine and your primaquine, blood schizonticides that terminates attack, that is quinine, mefloquine, haloperidol, pyrimethamine, sulfur dioxide, sulfones, tetracycline, doxycycline. These are some of the antibiotics. Tissue agents that prevents relapse, primaquine and tafloquine, and pyrimethamine, gametocides that blocks transmission, that is transfer of your gametocyle into your female Anopheles mosquito. Example, primaquine, tefloquine, chloroquine, quinine, artemisinin, and sporocydes that is abates the transmission of mosquito, that is primaquine and pro. So these are the therapeutic classification of the anti-malarial. So let's go for the chemical classification. Let's go for the chemical classification. Let's go for the chemical classification. So examples are 4 aminoquinolines, that are examples of chloroquine, hydroxyquine, amidoquine, and amidoquine. 8 aminoquinolines are primaquine, tefnoquine, and budoquine, and primapamaquine. Synchronous alkaloids like quinine and quinidine. Quinoline, methanol derivatives like mefloquine, bigonals like progonil and chlorprogonil. 9 amino acridine like quinarcin. Then diaminopyrimides like pyrimethamine and trimethoprim. Sulfonomides like sulfadioxime and dapsone. Tetracyclines, antibiotics like tetracycline and doxycycline. Naphthaquinone derivative like atovaquone. Sesquiterpenes, lactones like your artesunate, artemether, and artemisinin. So these are some of the chemical classification of your anti-malarial drugs. So very important, this classification is very important from your examination point of view. Frequently asked question from in your 5 and 10 marks question along with your life cycle. So now let's go for the first class of drug, that is 4 aminoquinolines. That is 4 aminoquinolines. So it is chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, and amidoquine. So it is, so they contain an amino group at the 4th and a chloro at the 7th position. These are the basic characteristics, and it contains a quinoline. And if you see, it has got an pentyl diethyl amino group attached to your 4 amino quinoline. So this is the basic classification, basic requirement in case of your 4 amino quinolines. In case of 4 amino quinoline. Okay, if you see the structures of this drug. So now let's start with chloroquine. Let's start with chloroquine. The first one, it has activity against blood stage of Plasmodium ovale, Plasmodium malaria, and it is susceptible strains of Plasmodium vivax and falciparum. Wide resistance in most malarial epidemic countries has led to decline in its use for the treatment of Plasmodium falciparum, although it remains effective for the treatment of Plasmodium ovale, malaria, and vivax. So its effectiveness in case of Plasmodium is less as compared to that of your other strains of Plasmodium species. So mechanism of action, if you see in a raw way. So initially what happens, this malarial parasites, they depend on hemoglobin. So they utilize your globin part from your hemoglobin, which is necessary for its building, protein building. So when this heme and the heme part is released, which is highly toxic to your parasite. So there is one enzyme called heme polymerases which converts this heme, they polymerize into hemozyme, which is not toxic to your Plasmodium species. But your chloroquine, quinine, and mefloquine, they inhibit this particular enzyme. So what happens when they inhibit this particular enzyme? The concentration of your heme in your malarial parasite increases, which is toxic to your parasite and thus cause death of your parasite. So this is your mechanism of action. Let us go a little bit deep of this thing. So let us see in deep what exactly happens in case of chloroquine. So chloroquine binds and inhibits DNA and RNA polymerase and interferes with the metabolism and hemoglobin utilization by the parasites, and also inhibits your prostaglandin. So this is the basic mechanism of action. So what happens? The parasite digests your human hemoglobin in order to get the amino acid, but the problem there is the heme part of your hemoglobin is toxic to the parasite. So the heme part of your hemoglobin is toxic to your parasite. So to overcome this obstacle, to overcome this toxicity, the parasite has developed an enzyme responsible for the polymerization of your heme and to form an insoluble crystal known as hemozyme, which is collected in your vacuoles. So this gets collected in your vacuoles. So they form a vacuole. So all this heme, they get collected inside a vacuole. So what does this chloroquine does? Chloroquine enters your parasite through your simple diffusion method. Okay, it enters into your parasites. The chloroquine then becomes protonated as the digestive vacuoles is known to be acidic in nature. So once it enters, it gets protonated, and this chloroquine then cannot leave the. So once this chloroquine enters inside, it cannot leave in the acidic because it cannot diffuse out from the cell. So what is this? This chloroquine then inhibits the polymerization of heme, and this leads to your accumulation of your heme. So this will prevent your accumulation by inactivating the heme polymerase enzyme. So the chloroquine binds to the heme to form what is known as falciparum chloroquine complex, heme falciparum chloroquine complex, and this complex is highly toxic to the cell, and this disrupts the cell membrane function and action of this toxicum results in cell lysis that ultimately leads to the death of your parasite by autodigestion. So that will destroy the structure of your parasite and thus leads to the death of the parasite. So this is your basic mechanism of action of your chloroquine. So now let's look into the SAR of your 4-aminoquinoline. So what all things are necessary in the structure of your 4-aminoquinoline, which determines the activity? Okay, so let us see at the fourth position first. Let us see at the fourth amino position. So it should contain a 2 to 5 carbon between the nitrogen. So there are 2 nitrogen atoms. So there should be between 2 to 5 carbon atoms. Basically, 4-diethyl amino 1-methyl butylamine side chain is optimal for activity. So basically 4-dimethyl amino 1-methyl butyl amino side chain is necessary for the optimal as seen in your chloro. Moreover, the tertiary amine at the side chain should always be a amino group should always be a tertiary, and the terminal amine should always be a tertiary amine. Introduction of an unsaturation in the side does not have any determinant activity on the activity. So if you try to introduce any double bond or anything between the 2 amino groups, it does not have much effect on the activity. Substitution of an hydroxyl group, as you know, the most important drug nowadays which has been talked about, the most important drug which is talked about, that is introduction of an hydroxy group to one of the ethyl substitution in a tertiary amine, that is hydroxyquinone. It generally has reduced toxicity and increased plasma, and this is one of the metabolite of your. So once your hydroxyquinone is nothing but your metabolite of your chloroquine, and incorporation of an aromatic ring in the side chain, as in case of amidoquine, gives a compound with reduced toxicity. So if we try to introduce an aromatic ring in the side chain, it reduces the toxicity. Introduction of a methyl group at the fourth position reduces that. So any other substitute in the ring reduces the activity. And the D isomer of chloroquine is somewhat less toxic than your L isomer. So if you see the structure, it will have a stereogenic center attached to the carbon, which is attached to your 4-amino. So your D isomer of a chloroquine is more active. Introduction of your chloro group at this position is optimal for that, because it is necessary for your binding with your heme portion of your parasite. So this is the basic SAR of your cell. So when you see the structure, the linker is necessary for your lipophilicity. Reduction from 4 carbon to 2 or 3 increases that, but it increases the activity. So if you try to reduce also the activities, the terminal carbon should always be tertiary. This is necessary for your accumulation. So for the penetration and accumulation, the tertiary carbon is, or terminal carbon, tertiary amino group is always necessary. And your 7-chloro group is necessary for your high affinity binding to your hematite. So this is your necessary for your binding with your heme portion of your falciparum. So this is the basic structural requirement in your chloroquine moiety or 4-amino quinol. So these are the pharmacological actions. Anti-malaria high activity, let us see first. It has high against erythrocytic form of your Plasmodium vivax, ovale and malaria, and sensitive strains of falciparum. Okay. Gametocytes of it can act on gametocytes of vivax. No activity against tissue skin joints. Resistance developed due to efflux mechanism. So this is also one of the mechanisms. So the parasites develop a system such that moment the chloroquine enters, they are thrown out from the body through active deficient method. Other parasite infection like giardiasis, teniasis, and extraintestinal amoebiasis. This can be used, as we studied in antiprotozoal. They can be used for the treatment of. Other actions are depressant action on myocardium, direct relaxant effect on vascular, smooth muscle, anti-inflammatory, antihistaminic, and local anesthetic. So what are some of the drug adverse drugs reaction? Nausea, vomiting, anorexia, skin rashes, angiourotic edema, photosensitivity, pigmentation, exfoliative dermatitis, retinopathy, insomnia, transient depression, seizures, ototoxicity, and rarely neuropathy. So these are some of the side effects of this. Now the most important part is your synthesis of your chloroquine. Frequently asked question. These are all frequently asked questions from malaria. These are the frequently asked questions in anti-malarial drugs. So chloroquine is I'll be explaining you each and every step. So please see this carefully. So what is the starting material? You take 3-chloroaniline. You take 3-chloroaniline and you treat it with what? You treat it with what? Formic acid. So what happens when you treat it with formic acid? You get an amido derivative. You get an amido derivative. So see what happens? You get an amidic linkage. You get an. So what is the first? Chloro and C. You get an amido. Okay. This is the first. So amide linkage. So amide bond is first step is formation of an amide bond with your formic acid. So this is then treated with what? This is then again treated with another molecule of another molecule of 4-chloroaniline. This leads to a formation of an imide. So this leads to an formation of an imide. So you treat it with an aniline, there is a loss of water molecule over here, and you get an imide. Chloro NHC double bond and okay. So this you get an imide. Okay, and imide. So there is and C double bond and your amide gets converted to your imide. Okay, your amide gets converted to an imide. And this imide, when you treat it with diethyl malonate, okay, that is CH2 C double bond O OET C double bond O. So it undergoes. So there is a replacement of an imide. There is a replacement of your this group gets replaced by your diester group. So this goes off, and you get, you see, NH C double bond C OET double bond OET. You get a diester. You get a diester. So your imide is replaced by your diester. Imide is replaced by an diester. So what is this diester moiety? Just over here, chloro and H C double bond OET C double bond O. So this is the diester. So when it is heated, it undergoes condensation and cyclization. So when you heat it in acidic condition, it undergoes cyclization, and you get your cyclized product. In acidic condition. When if you try to heat it, it undergoes cyclization to give you your chloro and OH. Okay, you get your ethyl esters of 7-chloro, 4-hydroxyquinoline, 3-carboxylic acid. So you get an 7-chloro, 4-hydroxy, 3-quinoline carboxylic acid. This, when it undergoes hydrolysis and decarboxylation, when you heat it in acidic condition and water, and you heat it, so it undergoes your hydrolysis, that is -C2, your alcohol is liberated, and decarboxylation occurs, and you get your 7-chloro, 4-hydroxyquinone. This, when you treat it with phosphorus oxychloride, you get your 4-chloro, 4,7-dichloroquinone, 4,7-dichloroquinoline. So this chloro derivative, then it's is treated with 4-amino 1-diethyl aminopentane. That is your side chain. You treat it with your NH2 CH, CH2, CH3, 2, 3. So that is your side chain. It undergoes condensation reaction to give your chloroquine. NH, CH3, CH2, thrice N. And if they tell you to prepare HCl, chloroquine, HCl or phosphate, if they tell you to treat form in HCl salt, you treat it with HCl, you get your HCl salt. And if you want to form a phosphate, you treat with phosphoric acid, you get your phosphate salt. This is how you prepare This is how you prepare chloroquine. Very important from your examination point of view. Frequently asked question. Okay, so that completes your chloroquine synthesis. Next is your quinoline methanol derivative. What is this quinoline methanol? So if you can see a quinoline, so just remember how to remember the structure. So don't try to mug these things. It's simple. And with your basic name, you can remember the structure. So what is this? Quinoline. First you have to remember what? It is an quinoline. So remember it. This is quinoline. What is methanol? So this is an quinoline methanol. So this is your basic name. So now one of the H is replaced by an pyridine ring and CF3 at the second and at the 8th position. This is nothing but your mefloquine. This is nothing but your mefloquine. So what does the extra thing? 4-methyl, that is 4-methanol quinoline, which contains an pyridine attached to your methanol substitution and a CF3 at the second and at the 8th position. At 2 and 8 position, there is a di CF3 group. Trifluoromethane group at second and the 8th position. This is known as quinoline methanol. This is that the example is mefloquine. The example is mefloquine. The example is mefloquine. Mefloquine is always marketed as R and S. So it is an racemic mixture. Mefloquine is effective in treatment and prophylaxis of your malaria. It is due to this destruction of asexual blood form of your malarial pathogens that affect your humans. They are used in the treatment of Plasmodium falciparum, vivax, and malaria and oval. They are used in chloroquine resistant strain of Plasmodium falciparum and other species. So if there is any resistance, this can be used. They are strong schizoicidal activity against Plasmodium vivax. It is not active against hepatic stage or your gamma. So it is only active in your erythrocytic state. Adverse effect, it is bad to state. Other at high doses it causes nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea and abdominal pain. So this is your basic quinoline methanol derivative. Example is mefloquine. Example is mefloquine. Now let's come for your cinchona alkaloid. Now let's come to the cinchona alkaloid. It is also a type of quinoline methanol derivative. If you see the structure, it is similar to your quinoline methanol derivative. So just draw a quinoline methanol. Just draw it. Okay. Now quinoline methanol. See which, and this is attached to a pyridine ring. Just see, yes, and then this is 1, 2, 3. So nitrogen at the first and the carbon at the fourth are linked by an 1, 2 ethylene linkage. By an ethylene linkage. Okay, and at the 5th position, it contains an vinylic group. It contains an vinylic group. So this is the structure of your phenolic, and over here it contains your methox. It contains an methox. So this is your basic structure of your quinine. This is your basic structure of your quinine. So in your quinine and quinicidine, only difference is between in your configuration at your, this is your 8th and this is your 9th. This is your 8th and this is, so only difference between your quinine and quinicidine, between quinine and quinicidine is your stereochemistry at your 8th and 9th carbon. That's the only difference between your quinine and quinicidine. Okay. And in case of cinchonine, your R1 that you see over there, it is an H. It is an H. So methoxy is replaced by an H. That's only the difference between cinchonine and quinine. Okay. So these are the structure. This is also type of quinine methanol derivative. Entire thing is the only thing that there is an extra bicyclic compound in case of bicyclic. So this is the structure of your quinine. So quinine is L isomer of your alkaloid obtained from cinchonobar, where quinidine is antiarrhythmic. It is an de-erythroid. So in case of quinine, so quinine and quinidine, both are same. Only thing is that one is your L isomer is used in case of antimalarial, and your D isomer is used in case of antiarrhythmic drug. And it is effective in erythrocytic schizontosite and is used to terminate the attack of your, so it will destroy your entire parasite of Vivax, ovale, malaria, and sensitive falciparum species are less effective and more toxic. But the only thing is that they are more toxic compared to that of your chloroquine. They are moderately effective against hepatic trauma. That is your pre-exoerythrocytic stage and gametocytic stage. So this is your structure and mechanism of action. Antimalarial action, as I mentioned, cardiovascular, it causes depression in myocardial, decrease conduction, and increase refractory pain. So it can be used as an antiarrhythmic. They are used as mild analgesic, antipyretics. It's and stimulation of your uterine smooth muscle. Okay, so it acts as a local irritant and anesthetic also. These are the uses of quinine and quinidine, cinchonoalkaloids. This is your basic SAR of your quinine. So what does it say? Modification of your secondary alcoholides C9 through oxidation. So if you convert your OH group at the 9th position to an ketone or an ester, it diminishes your activity. So if this particular OH is necessary for your activity, conjugation at position 8 and 9 affects the Juta function of your hydroxyl group, and non-aromatic nitrogen is a relation associated with your, so this particular position of your OH and your nitrogen, that is your bicyclic, is necessary for your activity. The asymmetry at the position is not, so this particular position 4 and 5, it's not necessary for the activity. The quinidine portion, so this is quinidine is nothing but your pyridine with containing your vinylic group and a bicyclic pyridine. This is not essential for your activity. The activity is usually enhanced by introduction of an halogen at the C6, C8 position. If you try to introduce an halogen at the 8th position, this will increase the activity. Now let us go for the activity substitution in the quinoline ring. So what are substitution are tolerated? Presence of methoxy is not essential. So even if there is no methoxy, the activity is retained. Replacement of methoxy by halogen, especially chlorine, enhances. So if you try to replace your methoxy in your quinoline ring by a chlorine, it enhances the activity. Further increase in activities from the introduction of a phenyl group at the 2nd position. Moreover, if you try to introduce a phenyl group at the 2nd position, the activity is increase. It was also discovered that high activity without photon could be attained by blocking the second position with CF3. So similarly, as you see in mefloquine, if you try to introduce CF3 at the second position, it reduces your phototoxicity effect. So thus led to a development of your mefloquine. As I mentioned, mefloquine is also an example of phenolic methanol derivative with better properties. So now comes your bigonides. Now comes your bigonides. So what is this bigonides? If you see the structures, see the structure of your biconide. If you see the structure of your biconides, if you see the structure of your biconide. So what does it contain? The first thing that you have to always remember is what all substitutions are present in your. So let us see why it is called biconide. NC double bond NH, NC double bond NH. Okay, this is a biconide linkage, and your terminal nitrogen is attached to your isopropyl group. Another terminal group is attached to your 4-chloropens, 4-chlorophenyl group. So this is the structure. So what is the most important thing? This biconide. That's why it is called a biconide, which contains an at one two nitrogen, two terminal nitrogen, one nitrogen terminal nitrogen contains isopropyl group, and your second terminal of your biconide contains an 4-chlorophenyl group. So this is an example of progonal. This is nothing but your pro. Okay. This is progonal. So let us see the action mechanism of action. So they are examples of prodrug. It is slow-acting erythrocytic schizontocyte, which also inhibits pre-erythrocytic stage of your Plasmodium falciparum. So both at erythrocytic and pre-erythrocytic stage, they are gametocytes exposed to progon are not killed, but fail to develop properly. So they don't kill; they act as not silent. They have a static effect, though they prevent the development of the gametocytes in the mosquito. So later, so this is progon. So it is said to be a prodrug. So what happens? This progon gets cyclized in the body into a triazine derivative, that is cyclogonal, which inhibits your Plasmodium dihydrofolate redact in preference to the mammalian enzyme. So what happens once this particular drug, so this is, as I explained, it is a prodrug. So once in the body they enter, they get converted into a cyclic triazine. It gets converted to a cyclic triazine, diamino triazine, and which acts as an inhibitor of your dihydrofolate enzyme, folate reductase enzyme. And it has got more preference to your Plasmodium dihydrofolate reductase as compared to your mammal. The only case of resistance to the progon develops rapidly due to your mutational changes that occurs in the enzyme. So any enzyme, any gene that codes for your particular enzyme, that is if there is any mutation in that lead, this leads to your resistance of your con. Now let us see how the conversion of progonal to cyclogonal. So what happens in the exact mechanism? So if you see in the particular slide, look properly. So look properly. I'll be showing it even in the board. Look properly in the board. So I'll be using different colors as possible so that it's easier for you to. So let's take Chlorphenyl, which is attached to an guanidine NH, C double bond NH, NH, C double bond NH, which is again connected to NH and isopropyl. Okay, isopropyl. So this is your structure of your proguanil. Look at it. The first step is your oxidation. First step is your oxidation. Where does the oxidation takes place? Your oxidation takes place your over here. Your oxidation takes place at your isopropyl substitution in the ring. So one of your H is replaced by OH. The first step is your oxidation by cytochrome P10, cytochrome 2C10. So this is followed. Once this thing is OH is formed, then there is removal of water. So there is minus H2O. So there is a loss of water over here. There is a loss of water over here, and you get, just look at the structure that is formed. Look at it properly. Guru? N double bond N C double bond N, and so now what happens? This is connected to a nitrogen, and the bond over here now gets converted into a double bond. This N double bond and get this. Okay, and this is NH. Okay, this is the second step that is your dehydration occurs. So next step is your nucleophilic attack of your this, then attacks on your double bond, and this hydrogen comes over here. So there is a nucleophilic attack of your nitrogen to the double bond. So this leads to your formation of double bond NH, C double bond NH. So what happens? There is an dimethyl and N. So there is a bond formation over here, and the H from here gets transferred to your nitrogen. So this is the intermediate that you get. This is the intermediate that you get. This is the intermediate that you get. Okay. So next step is your tautomerism. Next step is your tautomerism. You see there are tautomers. So what happens in the tautomerism? So this gets. So next step is your tautomerism. So in case of tautomerism, this forms a double bond, and this gets converted to NH2. Again, this gets converted to a double bond, and this gets connected to an NH2. This gets converted to an NH2, and thus your proguanil gets converted to your cycloguanil. Yes, your proguanil gets converted to your cycloguanil. So this is how your proguanil acts as a prodrug for your cycloguanil. This is how the conversion, and this is your active form. This is your active one. Your cycloguanil is your active form, whereas your proguanil is your inactive form. Inside the body, they get converted to your cycloguanil. It gets converted to your cycloguanil. This is how And the next example is 8-aminoquinoline. Very important. This is asked in your exam. This all part is whatever I'm taking right now is very important from your examination point of view. It's very important from your examination point of view. So what are the example? It is of 8-amino, primaquine, palmaquine, pentaquine, and quinosyde. If you see, it is similar to that of a 4-amino quinine. Only thing is that the amino is at the 8th position and there is a methoxy at the 6th position. There is a methoxy at the 6th position and the amino group at the 4th position shifts to your 8th position. Rest all the structures are same in case of primaquine and palmaquine. The only difference in pentaquine is that it is not a tertiary amine. It is connected. There is only 4 carbon between 1, 2, 3, 4 and your nitrogen is attached to your isopropyl group. That is the example of your pentaquine. And quinosyde contains an isobutyl group attached between the 2 nitrogen, and they are primary amines, not tertiary amines. So these are the structures of your 8-amino queen. These are the structures of your 8-amino queen. Okay. Now let's go into its basics. So what are the uses of the mechanism of action? Of 8-amino. It is largely used to prevent relapse in case of Plasmodium ovale and vivax and malaria by eliminating dormant hypnozoites. So what are which are dormant in your liver or in the liver? It is active. It is also have activity against pre-erythrocytic stage and gametocytic stage, gametocytes of your falciparum. Okay, so it has got a wide effect. It is not used for prophylaxis, but it is spectrum of activity is one of the narrowest of the current use of antibiotic. Drug is indicated only for exoerythrocytic Plasmodium vivax malaria. So uses of primaquine, radical cure in case of Plasmodium vivax and ovale given in acute attack or throughout your incubation period. Prevents relapse prophylactically before and after leaving the endemic area to eradicate hepatic form. So anything which is present in your liver, it can be eradicated using this particular class of drug. It is an effective vector control and is possible. Effective vector control is and used in an area of low transmission. So its clinical use is less, but it prevents your spreading of the disease on whatever thing is left, whatever parasites which are left in the liver, it can be used for that particular treatment. This is your uses of primaquine. So what is the mechanism of action? What is the mechanism of action? So what does this primaquine do? They generate an reactive oxygen species. They generate an reactive oxygen species via auto-oxidation of 8-amino group, 8-amino, and formation of a radical anion at 8-amino group. It forms a radical anion. Radical anion means negatively charged and a single electron. So it forms a radical anion. As a result, the cell destructive oxidants such as hydrogen peroxide, superoxide can be formed. So this leads to the formation of your superoxides of your hydrogen peroxide, and hydroxyl radical form. And all these superoxide radicals lead to oxidative damage of your cellular component. So these are very reactive species. They will destroy your cellular component and thus lead to a death in your parasites. So this is how the 8-amino quinolines act. This is how the 8-amino quinolines act. So just now let's go into deep into some of the so drugs in these groups have 8 amino group at the position 8. If you see, it has got an 8 amino group at the 8th position. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It has an 8 amino group at the 8th position. It has an amino group and at the say 8th position. At the 8th position. Okay. And they have methoxy at the 6th position. Pamaquine, primaquine, and tefnoquine are anti-malarial agents. Belong to the same family of 8 amino quinoline. And pamaquine is related. If you see the pamaquine and primaquine, if you see pamaquine and primaquine, only difference is that the terminal amino group is an tertiary amine, whereas in case of this thing, it is just a primary amine. In case of primaquine, it is a primary amine. In case of pamaquine, it is an tertiary amine. It is an tertiary amino group. It is a tertiary amino group. Okay, so this is, and comparatively compared to primaquine, pamaquine is more common and less efficacious. So compared to primaquine, pamaquine is more toxic and less efficacious. So and tefnoquine is currently used in clinical trials. So mostly will be considered primaquine and pamaquine. Now let's go for the side chain. In case of pamaquine, so when the side chain is introduced into the amino group, antibacterial activity is intense. So as you've seen, if by the introduction, your anti-malarial activity is due to the substitution at the 8 amino group. It is due to the substitution at the introduction of your side chain into your 8 amino group. And it is and this leads to your hemolysis of your in your heart. So this is necessary for your binding to the RBCs. These particular groups are necessary for your activity. That is diethyl aminopentyl sites. This is responsible for your binding with your RBCs. So primaquine. So what is the difference? The primaquine does not contain a diethyl amino group. So in case of pharmaquine, it contains an diethyl amino group, whereas it contains, so in case of primaquine, it contains a primary amino group as compared to pharmaquine, which contains a tertiary. It is more commonly used in this group in the treatment of your malaria. So primaquine is commonly used in the treatment of your malaria. Methoxy group is not necessary for your antimalarial, but when they are replaced by ethoxy, the compound becomes less active or toxic. If methoxy is replaced by methyl, the compound becomes inactive. But introduction of your halogen at this position increases your activity. Presence of quinoline ring is necessary for your antibacterial, antimalarial activity. When pyridine ring is converted into piperidine, that you saturate the pyridine ring, the compound becomes inactive. So these are the various features that are necessary. The pentyl side chain gives maximum activity. So if there is a pentyl side chain, which is 5 carbon between the 2 nitrogen, it will give you the best increase or decrease in the chain length, results in reduction of your activity. The branched side chain, when converted into a strain in case of is optimal. So when you convert a branched into, you get your pentaquine as I explained. It has less antimicrobial compared to both of your primaquine and primaquine. The best antimicrobial is primaquine. So in pentaquine, when there is a straight chain, its activity is reduced. Okay. Now let's go for the synthesis of your pamaquine. Let's go for the synthesis of your pamaquine. So it starts with 4-methoxy, 2-nitro-benzene, phenylamine. Okay. That when you treat with glycerol, H2SO4 and your nitrobenzene, that is your Scrop synthesis, you get your 6-methoxy 8-nitroquinol. So your Scrop synthesis. Next is your reduction of your nitro to your amino group, and then your condensation with 4-amino diethyl aminopentane to get your corresponding to get your corresponding PAMA queen, to get your corresponding PAMA. So this is how you get your PAMA. It is 4-amino 2-bromo diethyl amino pentane. So bromo is not that, please mention. It is 4-amino 2-bromo bromo diethyl amino pentane. So this is your synthesis of PAMA queen. So I would like to stop over here. The rest I'll be doing it tomorrow.